Green Bay fans no doubt feel like their lives over the last 3 weeks have been one long, drawn-out Sarah McLachlan adopt-a-pet commercial. And things didn't get any better tonight as the Redskins actually beat the 37 points the Packers' opponents have averaged against them. But who cares about the cheeseheads? This is Redskins country, and the spirits are high as we celebrate our 6th win, so let's break it down. Stick around for the Hogs Die.
Here's your host, Sean Conti.
Ladies and gentlemen, so glad to be back with you tonight. My name's Sean Conti. The crew's all here. What's up, Steve Thomas?
I'm so excited. Our Hog Side late nights are usually depressing affairs.
Not tonight, my
but
friend.
this is maybe this is the first super late night we've done in a while that is a uplifting and positive experience. So I'm motivated and ready to go.
Hell yeah, man. How about you, Alex Zeese?
Well, I started Kirk and Fat Rob in my fantasy league, so I am rolling high with about 60 points that those two got me.
Oh, holy shit, dude. You're smarter than the rest of us.
Yeah.
Damn. I know somebody else who had Rob Kelly, and I wasn't ready to make that jump myself, but you guys are clearly, something that I don't.
Hey,
Anyways,
know what? My teenage stepson, on my advice, started both Cousins and Kelly today, so he owes me one.
Yeah,
You're awesome.
I think he owes you a pizza or something.
Yeah, something.
That's right.
I can afford it.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, before we start the show, we've got a new special contributor here with us tonight. His name is Adam Taraski. He's a former Virginia Tech lineman, and so hopefully he's got the deets for us on tonight's game. What's up, Adam? Welcome to the show.
How's it going, guys? Fired up. Big win. Can't wait to talk some Redskins football.
Yeah, excited.
Yeah, man. Yes, this is like one of those ones that was so good. I don't even know where to start, guys. Everybody kind of had good games. You want to start off Redskins offense? I mean, that was the big 42.
Yeah, let's start offense.
Point.
Yeah,
let's
start offense.
Okay, that's fine.
Yes. Let's talk Kirk Cousins first of all. Big game from Kirk Cousins. 21 to 30, 375 yards, 3 touchdowns, only 2 sacks. Quarterback rating, ready for this? 145.8.
Nice.
And for context, the max is 156?
158.
150. Yeah, 158.
There you go.
That is the highest number of the year for him by far.
Yeah.
Robert Kelly, another big night for Robert Kelly. 24 carries, 137 yards, 5.7 yards average, including that long 66-yard run there at the end of the game.
Oof, it was a beaut.
I didn't think that
Kelly
had that kind of run in him, but I guess I was wrong.
You're running against the
if he had
Packers
a little bit more, if he had a little bit more speed, that would have been a touchdown.
Yeah. Well, he got the next play.
I was saying the same thing. I was like, don't get caught, and he just kind of ran out of gas there at the end.
Yeah, he got.
Yeah,
his
name's Fat Rob. His name's Fat Rob for a reason. Okay,
that's right.
But we'll get to that. Pierre Garçon was our leading receiver, 6 receptions, 116 yards, 19.3 yards per catch, long as 70.
The old Garçon.
Yeah, it is. Jamison Crowder had a big game, 3 receptions, 102 yards. Jordan Reed was all over the place tonight. 5 receptions, 59 yards. Deshaun Jackson had a touchdown. Welcome back to the land of the living, Deshaun. 4 receptions, 51 yards, and it goes down from there. We had a Maurice Harris sighting. We had a Chris Thompson sighting, Ryan Grant sighting. Ball got spread all around today. So that is the Redskins offense.
Yeah.
It was a clinic, is what that was. I don't know how you could look at that and not say that was maybe our best game in the last 2 years on offense.
I think you're onto something there.
Yeah, I think you got to start with Kirk Cousins, right? Because all year we've talked on this show, and we're not the only ones by far, by any stretch, about the struggles he's had with the deep ball. He's missed them short. He's missed them long. He's floated the ball. He's made bad reads. He's done everything wrong with the deep ball all year long. He had a tremendous game tonight with the deep ball, and I think that the Garçon touchdown was at 70 yards. My opinion only. This is not backed by scientific fact. I think that was maybe the best throw of Kirk's in the past 2 years. Into the wind, 70 yards, right on target. Receiver didn't slow down at all. That might have been Kirk's best throw I've ever seen him make.
I mean, how can you not kind of love how Tirico and Collinsworth spent the entire first half of the game talking about, the wind. The wind is why Green Bay is struggling. The wind is why Aaron Rodgers can't throw the ball. Then Kirk puts 2 50-plus yard passes into the wind.
Yeah. I want to say
half.
something about that too. If they said the word wind one more time, I was going to throw a hammer at my TV.
Now,
They really
the wind
did
plays
harp
into
on that.
kicking. You know,
Sure,
because,
we saw that.
Yeah, that's obvious. But if you can throw the ball, you can throw the ball. A spiral is meant to cut through the wind.
Let's ask our college football player about the effect of the wind on quarterbacks. Tell us.
I mean, it's huge. I mean, it was swirling tonight. You could see the goalpost moving, and he was just slicing through. I mean, he threw a ton of 8 to 15 yard throws. You know, a couple to Reed, and it was just slicing through, man. I mean, it looked like there was no wind for him. And like you said, he made the 2 deep throws into the wind. I mean, he showed that the noodle arm narrative is totally false. I mean, he's the guy, in my opinion. I think this game showed it.
Yep. That's a great point. I feel like that's the big takeaway because we do have to, sit here and admit that they put up a stat on the screen during that game that was like the QB rating against each of the Packers' respective cornerbacks. Mm-hmm. It was over 100 for every single one. It was like over 110 for every single one.
That's true.
They cannot play defense, and they did not play defense at all. They are averaging 37 points. Their opponents are. We beat that slightly, but this is kind of what that other teams have been doing. So we got to admit that up front before we continue celebrating.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
will say that. Go ahead.
It must be said that the Packers are really beat up in the secondary. They lost a corner halfway through the game. Both of them the starters were hurt. But I think that's just the people are going to cite that to downgrade what Kirk did tonight. Just aren't Redskins fans. They're not being honest. It was a tremendous game. Sorry, Adam. Go ahead.
No, I mean that's what I was going to say. You gotta say that they were beat up and they're decimated on the defensive side of the ball. But I mean the way he was playing, the throws he was making. I think he does that against anyone. Yeah. I mean he was dropping dimes all night. It was very impressive. I was impressed with his confidence, and you can tell when he comes into a game and he's stepping into those throws confidently, it's going to be a good day for him.
Mm-hmm. I got to be honest. I didn't think he had that kind of game in him. We just haven't seen that kind of Kirk in a really long time, if ever. It's kind of like a pitcher. Sometimes a pitcher is just on. He just kind of was on tonight. He was in rare form.
Well, I think it wasn't just on the night. It was really in the second half. I don't know what kind of adjustments they made in the locker room, but, his numbers in the first weren't bad, but it was, I think, 130 yards. We had a 3-point lead.
Yeah.
And, 31 points in the second half. That's pretty impressive.
Well, it's funny you say that because I just happen to have the quarterly breakdowns. So let's just talk about that.
Oh, well. Well, of course you do.
I have all this stuff. You guys know this. In the first quarter, he was only 7 for 11 for 75 yards with the 1 touchdown.
Efficient.
Efficient. Okay. Not great. Second quarter at halftime, like you said, he was 11 for 18, 130 yards. Which,
yards a quarter ain't so bad, Steve.
No, I'm not saying it was bad, but by any means. But it was really an explosion in the second half.
Yeah.
Because by the third
for
quarter,
both teams,
16.
We got to talk about.
Yeah. 16 for 24, 230 yards, and obviously at the end of the game, like we said, 340 yards. So, right. I mean, his game, I think Alex is right, his game really built up in the second half, and most of those both of those big long balls came late in the game.
Right. Again, against the dreaded wind.
Yeah.
I just got to mention that, not only was he making nice throws, but they were timely throws. Mm-hmm. Deep completion to Crowder at the end of the game. If we don't get that, I have a feeling we don't come out with the win because if Rodgers gets the ball back with 4 minutes left, who knows what happens.
Yeah, there was no telling what's going to happen.
That turnover too helped big time at the end. Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, Josh Norman. I think I wish he could have done his bone arrow. He would have deserved it.
Yeah, I did it for
Muhammad Ali. You mean? I think that's who you mean.
Yeah.
Sorry. We'll get to deep.
And Sean was moving around like he was a boxer. If for those of you who couldn't see it out there, which is everybody but us,
it's not a very athletic site. I'll let you know, folks at home. It's not
Let's
a good
talk
boxer.
Rob Kelly, shall we?
Sure.
I think we would be remiss in not talking some Rob Kelly. Now, he didn't look world-beating tonight, except for the 66-yard run. That boosted the stats tremendously. He was, for example, at the end of the third quarter, 15 for 56. But was it Collinsworth, I think, said this on air. He's the type of guy who makes 4-yard runs out of 2-yard runs.
Yeah.
And that's what we didn't have in Matt Jones. This guy, he doesn't get stopped in the backfield. He has the moves, he has the strength, he has the vision to get something when there isn't anything. And that was my biggest complaint about Jones. And that is what Rob Kelly does. Now, in terms of the 66-yard run, good for him. If he wasn't Fat Rob, as we said, it would have been a touchdown.
6.
He got it on the next play. I'd just like to point out, for those of you who didn't notice, that Houston Bates was the fullback on the touchdown run in the fourth quarter.
I was surprised by that.
Well, I mean, it's like, who else we're going to put out there? We lost Miles Paul the season, so you're down to Houston. Who I'm sure he was happy to get in the game on something besides a special team penalty or special teams play.
Well, and we've had some luck moving linebackers to fullback before, so maybe it makes sense in that regard.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, Daryl Young.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I would say, just going back to Fat Rob, I think he had a great game all around, but without those two plays at the end, it's a much more normal game, let's say.
Yeah.
Air quotes,
Yeah.
But that really sold it.
I don't want to undersell Fat Rob, but I want to just talk about what Jordan Reed did.
We got to talk about Garcon. We got to talk about Reed. Please continue.
But I really want to bring up the 2 or 3 amazing plays he had, where one was just an amazing acrobatic leaping catch over the middle of the field, and the other one when he caught that ball on the sideline about the 30-yard line or so, and then juked the guy to the ground and ran for another 10, 15 yards.
That was so sleek.
And
crossover.
I feel like we've seen Reed do this, 3-4 times now this season. It's amazing to watch him. His athletic ability might be unmatched in the NFL at the tight end position.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
no, I think, and a lot of people are coming around to that. I was killing a spider in my apartment the other day that pulled all the same moves, I just want to say. Hit every move on the joystick as I whacked at it with the metal thermos. But that is a story for another time.
Yeah, random thought of the day.
Maybe
my comment on Reed. Sorry, Sean. My comment on Reed is it amazes me how often the guy's open.
Yeah.
He's always open. Just always open. He's got to be the best route running tight end in the league.
Yeah.
He reminds me of, not necessarily body type, but in effectiveness and effect on the game. He reminds me of Gonzalez, the tight end from the Falcons who just retired. Same kind of thing. He was always open. He was always making an effect on the game. Gonzalez is a lot bigger,
than
Reed, but he had the same effect on the game.
We'll see if Reed has the same longevity. God, I hope he does. But with 5 concussions already,
it's
a little worried.
That's tricky.
I wanted to ask Adam, because I feel like maybe we're missing the point. These guys were open all night. We were running where we haven't been in previous weeks. Is there something happening in the offensive line there, Adam? And my question specifically is, talk to me about Nseki versus Clay Matthews, because that seemed to be going pretty well.
Well, yeah, I'll touch on the entire unit real quick. I thought they did an outstanding job in pass pro all night. They do a really good job of bumping off twists, especially Morgan Moses and Sheriff. Their awareness is outstanding. But Nseki, he dogged Matthews tonight. I mean, other than the holding penalty,
right.
I mean, Matthews may not have had a single pressure all night. He was throwing him around, and he made him just a non-factor. And he's a really good pass rusher, so that is very impressive. I think he could end up being a huge trading chip this offseason.
I think so. So I was going to ask you about that. What do you think his role is going forward, playing so well against such a star player?
Yeah, I mean, going forward this year or next year.
Oh, any year. I mean, I'm just surprised to hear you say we might be, willing to part ways with the dude. I guess he's got value,
He definitely has value, and I think his value is right now. He's 31 years old, if I'm not mistaken. So I think the time is now. If you can trade him to a contender for maybe a 4th-round pick, maybe a 3rd if we're lucky, I think someone would be willing to give up that kind of pick for a high-level tackle to come in and kind of help them contend in the next 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, and we can attest on the Hog side that he's a good dude. It's one of the few people that we've talked to, and anybody, I mean, he would be a major player for anybody. So
yeah, I was happy with his overall production. The guy who concerned me was our left guard. It seems like the few times we got blown up in the run game, it was the left guard spot that we saw get blown up.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, it's strange too because he was playing some really good ball earlier, and then he retweaked his ankle, and he just has not been the same guy. I mean, he doesn't have that explosion to get that drop step and kind of cut off guys on the backside, and that's exactly what happened. The tackles are blowing him up, stuffing Kelly in the backfield, which rarely happens. But and he's getting beaten pass pro, getting bull rushed. It's not pretty, and I wouldn't be surprised if they try to experiment a little with Ty inside, or maybe put Trent at the left guard when he comes back.
Yeah,
Something's got to give.
That's kind of where I was going with it, because I wonder if a guy shows that kind of ability. I mean, it's clear that we could. It would be nice if we could plug him in somewhere else. Yeah, where we have an deficiency. So yeah, I mean, something to think about, I guess.
Definitely, I think the only way to find out is to throw him in there. He's a big guy, but
yeah.
I mean, I think he could play with leverage. I think he has the athleticism and the hip flexibility to play with leverage. So, I mean, I would be all for throwing him in there one game, seeing what he's got.
Well, we'll see what happens when Trent comes back. I guess it'll be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Very.
The other concern, of course, is when Trent comes back. Moses, he was really limping today. And what that might. I know
Yikes.
some people have suggested the whole idea of when Trent comes back, maybe you rest Moses and put Ty at right, but. And maybe that's not a bad idea given the fact that it looked like he's barely able to walk at times.
I could see that, and I think the ankle was bugging him today, but when you watch the plays that he's getting beat on, it's not because of his ankle. It's because he's bending at the waist, he's grabbing, he's not striking with his hands, and it's just the same thing. I mean, every game you watch, he does the same thing, and it's very frustrating.
Also against Peppers. I mean,
yeah,
not an easy task if you're hurt.
Not at all.
Yeah.
But
no, it's fair.
Yeah.
Well, we got to do a little flipperoonie to defense, but what do we miss on offense? Because this was a good day. I mean, 40 some points doesn't happen every day. Did we miss anybody? I feel like we shouted out at everybody, right? We got Crowder. Yeah. Did we talk about Garcon? Yeah, we talked about Garcon at the very beginning, didn't we? Oh, that's my boy.
Yeah,
I just want to bring him up one more time.
I mean, I don't know if I've ever seen.
I think this was his best game of the season.
Oh, definitely, dude. But the last few weeks particularly have been pretty good for him. So, it's just nice
He's always consistent, but I mean, I haven't seen him beat anyone deep like that in years. So it was a sight for sore eyes for sure.
Hell yeah! Well, let's move over to the defense then. Here's what I'm going to say about Packers offense here. All right, here's what I was going to say about Packers offense here. Seems like the Packers are tonight were doing what they kind of have always done, which is play a little backyard football. Aaron Rodgers is going to dance around like crazy, like a madman, waiting for something to open up that's not necessarily on the playbook, so to speak. It wasn't really working for them tonight, like it hasn't really been working for them most of the season, but it's just interesting to see. He had some good plays, but the offense that they were playing was totally different than the offense that we were playing. We had a great game. They didn't have a terrible game. So that's just on offense. So that's just the one thing I want to point out before we start. But go on. What'd you
Yeah. Well, in the first half, you recall what we said was in the preview that we had to keep Aaron Rodgers in the pocket. And contain him and keep him from scrambling. We didn't do that at all in the first half. He scrambled all over the place.
Said and done thing.
Yeah, we didn't do that, but he just kind of got overwhelmed by our offense, really. And when you have, the Packers tried to establish a run game the entire game. So they spent 3/4 of the game going back to the run repeatedly over and over and over and over again.
Right.
And it just didn't work, and it didn't work, and it didn't work. And this really shows us why the burden is all on Aaron Rodgers this year. And he just came up short. He just, matched up with a team that just overwhelmed him offensively. This is a game they scored enough points to win against an average team.
Exactly. Sure. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, I think the pressure was there. We could have had, potential 3 or 4 more sacks, but Rodgers is so elusive, and it's so frustrating playing against him because Kerrigan could have had probably 3 sacks, maybe 4 tonight, and just constantly making a miss. So the pressure was there. We just weren't finishing. Yep, Murphy was there too, but there was really no push interior-wise. That was kind of frustrating. Baker got back a couple times, but other than that, they held pretty strong in there.
Yeah,
do you guys want to hear?
Yeah, if you want to go through some of the numbers real quick.
Give us the boring numbers, Steve.
Well, I mean, Aaron Rodgers had a good game. You know, he was 26 to 41, 351 yards. That's a huge game. 115
Here's
rating,
the real question
3
I have.
touchdowns.
What did their backup quarterback do? Because we actually forced the backup to come into the goddamn game.
Oh, he's got an awesome line. You ready for this? I wasn't even going to mention, but since you did, Brett Hundley is his name. He was 1 for 3, 9 yards with a rating of 1 interception with a rating of, ready?
0?
Let's do it.
2.8.
Oh my God! Holy shit! That was like my GPA in high school.
Well, the other thing you got to point out numbers-wise, real quick, is we just said they tried to run the ball. They were 19 of 84 on the ground, but that includes 33 yards by Aaron Rodgers.
I was going to say that. Was he their leading rusher tonight, Steve?
Oh yeah, by far. Yeah. James Starks is 9 for 25. If you do a little math here, the non-Aaron Rodgers and non-Brett Hundley carries, they had 15 carries for 33, 84, 49 yards. 15 carries for 49 yards.
That's Vikings level running.
If my math is right.
How much were people riding the Packers jock in the offseason? Oh, they built through the draft. Oh, look how great they are.
Alex, how long are people are always riding their jocks. It's not the offseason. It's every year all the time, man.
I know, but this is what they've got. Can we maybe get off the just build through the draft, never sign a free agent mentality that they seem to obsess with?
Well,
they might be learning some
first of all,
hard
I did my math. Yeah. I did my math wrong. It was 51 yards, not 49 yards.
Oh, man.
That changes everything.
Well, remember, though, again, it's a different game if Eddie Lacy's in, okay?
Maybe.
He's a legit running back. No, not maybe. It would have definitely been a different game. There's no maybe about it. He would have averaged 4.5 yards a carry. I'm not saying they would have won the game, but it would have been a different game.
Where do you put Eddie Lacy, Steve? Top 10? Top 15?
Top 15 maybe. There's a lot of good running backs, but for them he works.
Yeah.
For them,
there we go. That's I feel like a more fair assessment. He's no world beater.
Well, but we make good running backs look like world beaters.
That's true.
That's
very true.
We've been lucky totally in the last couple games that we've gone against teams with bad running backs. It's something we've kind of overlooked, but
right.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about some of the issues we still have on defense. Our slot coverage. Can we find anybody to cover in the slot, please?
No.
I mean, Kendall is a good corner, but I think he's a better outside corner.
Now
I think he's better playing off coverage
like that. But
yeah.
And
I thought he started the game off pretty well. I think he had 2 pass breakups on Randall Cobb, but then he had a couple where he was trailing him by a couple yards, and he ended up picking up a big gain. So it's definitely it's an interesting position on defense for us right now.
Well, yeah, and by the way, I mean Jared Cook, 105 yards and 6 receptions. He was just all over the place. Yeah. And I'd like to. I guess we have to talk about this. The Jordy Nelson touchdown in the end zone.
Yeah, that's a bang play. That's bullshit.
I thought it was a catch. I thought it was a valid catch.
Really?
Everybody.
I thought it was incomplete.
So did I, Adam. Can you speak to that? Because I swear to God, that was a bang play. That you watch it in slow motion, and like slow motion does, it makes you think a certain way. But you watch it full speed, and there's no way that's a catch, man. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, he had possession, and then he tucked it, and then he kind of turned his body a little bit, and the ball was out. I mean, it couldn't have been more than a second and a half.
But
that he had the ball.
He doesn't need to make a football. He doesn't need to make a football move in the end zone. Okay, he can stand there and not move. There's no football move to make because he's already in the end zone. To me, he had the ball, he caught the ball, and after a small period of time, he tucked the ball in. It's a touchdoon.
Small period of time. We're talking about a fraction of a second, and even he did not look confident that catch was made.
Here's my thing, Steve. We saw this a couple years ago with guys catching touchdowns and then spiking the ball or dropping the ball right away as part of their celebration, and it gets called a non-touchdown. He had the ball in his hands in less time than those guys did. So
yeah, but he caught the ball and he moved the ball. To me, he caught the ball and he tucked the ball in. I've always disagreed with the way the NFL referees touchdown catches. To me, if you have possession of the ball in the end zone, and with 2 feet down, it's a touchdown. That's the end of it. End story.
Yeah.
And so to me, that was a touchdown.
Yeah, it's a fair point, and they agreed. Sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I mean, if I was making a ruling on a catch, I would say that's a catch. But based off what I've seen for the last couple of years, I don't think that's a catch. I mean, I've seen people
It was an
where I'm like, that
inconsistent
has to be a
call.
catch, and nope, incomplete. And then you see that, and you're like, where? I mean, they've got to get together in the offseason and define what a catch is, because it's just all over the place.
It's
And
ridiculous.
can I also say something about the refs? Do you guys see the irony that I do in the fact that referees who waste like 45 minutes of a full game talking and having, consultations will flag Josh Norman for tossing a football 4 feet?
Yeah.
Delay of game for tossing a football 4 feet. I mean, that was such a ridiculous.
Also,
At this point, I think they kind of have it out for Josh Norman. I mean, he's had so many penalties, and I think they're watching
I
it.
think he was very
He's the most
outspoken
penalized player in the
like that.
NFL.
Yeah.
Also, I saw a Green Bay receiver after he dropped the ball. He kicked the ball out of bounds, and they didn't flag him for that. And I just thought that was a little bizarre. I think they're definitely gunning for Norman, because that was absurd.
I mean,
Yeah.
he was visibly frustrated, so I'm not. I
Sure.
wasn't shocked when they threw the flag on it.
Right.
Like I
Right.
saw it happen, I was like, "Oh, that can get flagged," and it did. But you see guys do things like that all the time, and it doesn't.
Is that always a delay of game penalty, though? Instead of
It's
like
either that or
unsportsmanlike conduct?
unsportsmanlike. It's either that or
Yeah, a
unsportsmanlike.
delay is better than an unsportsmanlike
Yeah.
in that case.
Yeah, so maybe they was on the edge and they kind of erred on our side on that one, I guess. Yep, that's one positive way to look at it, I guess.
I think we'd be remiss in not asking Adam what he saw in the front seven battle against the Packers' beat up offensive line. We got a lot of pressure there in the second half.
Yeah.
It seemed to me it got better as the game went on. What did you see in the front seven?
Yeah, early in the game, they were kind of flying all over the place, trying to make plays, and it kind of allowed Rodgers to get out of the pocket, make some plays. What I noticed in the second half was, especially Preston, he would push the pocket, and then he would kind of just sit there and not really try to go outside, go inside, and just hold his ground to force Rodgers to stay in the pocket, which I thought was a good adjustment by Joe Barry, I assume, made that. The inside push, like I said, wasn't great. I thought Baker had a really good game. He was beating up that right guard, and they actually switched out the right guard for Jason Spriggs, and they said it was because the guy had a shoulder injury, but I'm not buying that. I think he was getting dogged by Baker.
And Baker himself went down for an injury. He went out there. We don't know if it was a legit injury or if it was Adams doing
quote unquote. Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, speaking of injuries, they didn't replay it, but the Packer who injured his leg, that was brutal.
I didn't even see it.
I saw it made its way on social media, and it is as ugly of a leg break as you'll ever see.
Yeah, the announcer said there's no need to show that again, so I just assumed.
Yeah,
you could see it on his face. You could see it on his face.
Oh yeah,
when he was on the card.
He was like
it was over, and he
was
knew
crying. I mean,
yeah. He knew that was an ender. So hey, much prayers to that dude. We love to see it win, but we don't love to see that. No, for anybody, even the stupid cheeseheads. So prayers to you, man. Good luck. Get healthy.
Let's point out that Joe Barry had our secondary in man coverage at times today. He had Norman man on Jordy Nelson a good bit of the time. Sua Craven spied Rodgers for not every play, but a good bit of the time.
I love that.
Sua, I think, played more today than he had any other game.
Who I loved when he jumped up and tipped that ball. Beautiful play.
Also, something I noticed going back to the man-on-man, he kept putting when Jared Cook would split out, or they had Rodgers split out a couple times, he would have Dante Whitner follow him out and play press man. And that was a couple plays where Jared Cook had a huge play. And it just blows my mind that Dante Whitner, we would ever ask him to play press man. He had a terrible game. Dante Whitner played very bad.
I don't remember one of the beat reporters was tweeting out pretty often how we need to start respecting our safety position when it comes to the draft and free agency.
100%.
As just stopgap for the.
Well, we said, this show, we've said, all of us, I think, have said, it's time for the Redskins to draft another high safety high up in the draft. We need somebody. we hate to keep bringing up the ghost of Sean Taylor, and we just had Steve Rosenberg on a couple weeks ago. We've never replaced him.
out.
And he's not replaceable, but we've never even made an effort to replace that level of capability. We've done stopgaps for 10 years now.
Linebacker.
Yeah.
I think this is the year we go safety.
Yeah.
Well, this is actually a great point, so I'm glad you said that. So what are we at here? Week 11?
Yeah.
Week 11.
Week 11? What's the number one need you guys are targeting next year? What's the biggest need you see through 11 weeks of this season?
Let's save the expert for the end.
I agree.
I
agree.
Go ahead, Steve. You want to go first?
My vote is interior defensive line.
Okay.
We've been gashed in the running. We've been gashed in the running game all year.
Great.
Aside from the two teams that just can't run the ball, I think that's the biggest need, and then followed that by safety.
I tend to agree with you, but I could also flip them around. I think we've at least got some young guys on the defensive line who we can groom in Ioannidis and Lanier. But it might take a little longer. So maybe you focus on that in the second and third round. But if we find a first round safety we like, I'm all for it. But I haven't looked at the draft closely enough. I've also got a big thing for Christian McCaffrey if we can somehow get him at running back.
Yeah, so that's what I was going to say. Steve, you kind of took the wind out of my sails at first because I was going to agree completely with you and say interior line or safety. But I was going to say, to Alex's point, that if there's some big, nice running back on the block that we can get, it's going to be hard for me to say no to that. I love the things that Rob Kelly has been doing. I do think tonight might have been a slightly, padded game for him. He's been doing great, but exactly. But it would be hard for me to say no to some major talent. So what do you think, Adam?
I would go with linebacker. I think we lack a true rangy athletic linebacker that can go sideline to sideline. And honestly, we don't really have a big hitter either. I mean, Compton got bulldozed a couple times today.
Yeah.
Kapowski just ran over him a couple times.
I mean, there's a couple guys.
He's your average linebacker. And it's better than what we've had at times, but yeah.
Well, he's smarter than he is good. That's his problem.
He's always in the position, but he doesn't always make the play because he's not strong enough and he's not athletic enough. But I think we'd be in a position to take a pretty good linebacker, maybe a Jared Davis, Zach Cunningham type guy from Vanderbilt. After that, I'd definitely say safety, free safety and strong safety. We need both. And then offensively, I think we're a left guard away from being a top 2 offensive line in the NFL.
Yeah, because you had mentioned that earlier, and that's a need too.
Well, Sean Laval's looked really bad at times.
He has a good place tonight.
He's gotten bulldozed. Yeah, but he's gotten bulldozed and thrown back in the backfield several times. Tell us about Sean Laval. We have an expert here.
Yeah.
I touched on him earlier, and he. I just think he's kind of lacking the explosion in his ankle. I believe it was his left ankle, and you can tell when he tries to do kind of a backside cutoff and move into the right. He's just not getting that pop out of his left leg, and he's getting beat pretty much every time. And he's, in terms of pass pro, I'm a little confused because he's getting bullied, and that doesn't really have too much to do with his ankle. But he was always a real physical player, and now he's kind of playing soft. So it's disheartening to see that. But I think there are some good guards coming up in this draft, like a guy like Dan Feeney is. He's basically Sheriff 2.0 in my mind, and I think he'll be there late in the draft, or late in the first, I mean.
Okay. And it looks like we're going to be picking late in the first, and I like that.
Yeah, hey,
I love it.
Nothing wrong with that. So this is going to be kind of hard, guys. Should we do game balls? I don't know who to give it to. Could we split it into 15 parts?
No, you have to make a choice. Make a call, Sean.
Here's what I would suggest. How about everyone gets one on offense, one on defense? Do you want to go that way?
No. Do whatever.
No.
This is a game for the fans. Do whatever you feel in your heart.
Okay.
You can't go wrong tonight.
I'll go first.
All right. That's very gentlemanly of you. Please do.
You guys know I don't know if I've ever said this. I don't like giving these normally to the quarterback because I feel like it's a cop-out. But my game ball tonight really does go to Kirk. I think this is the best game he's played all year. We've never seen him have 3 really deep passes completed in one game, much less a game where there was a cold weather factor and the wind factor.
Prime time.
Yeah, prime time.
Right.
and just about a perfect game from him. So Kirk Cousins gets my game ball.
Nice. You want me to go next?
Yeah,
I'll
next? Go second. No, I'll go. Yeah, I'm going to say Kirk also.
I didn't want to go.
Yeah, Kirk to me is the names I wrote down is Kirk Cousins, Rob Kelly, and Ty Nsekhe for the job he did against.
Yeah, that's a nice call out, man. Good call.
So, but of the three of those guys, I think clearly Kirk had the biggest effect on the game. Those deep balls, we just have never seen him do that. And we'll never see him do it again either. Who knows? But you can't deny what Kirk did today. So I think Kirk Cousins easily gets a game ball from me.
Yeah, and we'll continue to save the only one of us that actually knows what they're talking about for last. So I'll take the third spot here. You guys make, the obvious point. Kirk was the man tonight, and I completely agree. Yeah, I kind of shut everybody up about the wind, which was fantastic to see. You could really say anything tonight about giving the game ball because I feel like everybody deserves it. This was a full team victory. You can make arguments for anybody. I love seeing Garcon doing something. I love seeing Deshaun Jackson do something for once. Yep. Back healthy and doing good things. Maybe didn't deserve the game ball, but it was great to see. Jordan Reed, it wasn't his best, statistical night, but shit, he did some great things, and he's the most dependable dude ever.
He gets
Rob
the
Kelly,
ball, he does good things.
Exactly, every time. Every time he does good things. Rob Kelly had a great game.
Even Ryan Grant, who I love to hate, he had.
You hate that motherfucker.
Yeah. He had a catch.
he had
one catch.
He had a catch.
I might just give him the game ball to troll you.
Yeah, he didn't drop the ball.
Yeah, and then obviously I love Josh Norman's, Muhammad Ali right hook that dislodged the ball there at the end. So you could really give it to anybody. I'm not going to give a third game ball to Kirk, so I'm going to say Garcon. I'm going to say Crowder. I'm going to say Crowder because he showed some promise.
Yeah, two long catches. Yeah.
2 long catches, some fantastic plays tonight, and I see good things in his future. So I'm going to give it to Crowder.
All right.
You guys, Kirk is obviously the MVP. He was driving the train tonight, but I'm going to go Rob Kelly. I love Fat Rob. I love me some Fat Rob. The way he approaches the game, he is the epitome of consistency, if you ask me.
Yeah.
He's not super athletic, he's not incredibly strong, but he makes guys miss in the hole, and he does not have negative yardage. And when you give Kirk Cousins a 2nd and 8, 2nd and 7, 3rd and 6, he's going to be successful. Mm-hmm. And another thing that I really like about Kelly is if you watch him, after he gets hit, he pops right back up and he sprints back to the huddle.
Yeah.
And that's something that just devastates a defense. When you see him just constantly picking up first downs and then popping up like he's not even tired,
didn't even bother
me. Demoralizing.
And we were
couldn't even feel it.
For a lot of those runs too, which I love. When you see just the pile moving and offensive linemen just hitting in the back of the pile to move it another foot or two. I love seeing that kind of run.
He makes winning plays. That's what it comes down to, and I think he's going to be our running back for quite a while.
Yeah, nice. Well, so we had a Kelly, a Crowder, and 2 Cousins. They're all offensive game balls, but that's pretty sweet. So nice.
We put up 42 points, of course.
Yeah,
you can't go wrong.
I guess when you think about it, we are smarter than I'm giving us credit for. So, anyways, sweet. This was an awesome one, and we have an exciting game coming up next week, fellas. Because what is this week?
Dallas week.
Yep. It's freaking Dallas week. We got Dallas on Old Turkey Day.
Approximately 87 hours until we kick off.
Oh, my God. That is crazy. Is that true?
Yeah.
I saw it was 89 hours a couple hours ago. So.
I was told there'd be no math. Okay. That is freaking awesome. But anyways, this will be an exciting week. So stick with us, ladies and gentlemen, because we have a sweet preview coming up for the Dallas week. And thanks for being on the show, Adam. You are the man. Adam Taraski, ladies and gentlemen.
Thanks for having me, guys. I had a great time.
Yeah, he is our most recent contributor, and we're definitely going to see him again. So we will leave you at that, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see you soon for the game preview on Dallas Week. Take care.